Hello everybody, this is Mingji. Today I'm going to show you how to set up eye control. By the end of the tutorial, you'll be able to set up eye control that looks like this. And the function is going to be, so when you move the entire eye control around, and you see your eyeballs will follow it. And we move each individual eye controls, only one eyeballs will follow it. Also, we have two options here, so you can see in the channel box there's one extra attribute called head follow. So when head follow turns on, and you see, so it has the effect that both of the eyes they are still looking at the controls even if the head is already moved. So after this, if we turn on the eye follow, and when we move it around, so the eyes will just move along with the head controls. So to get started, I'm going to open up a new scene. It's going to be this one. Oops. Okay. Hi, it's like surprising. Okay, so this is what I'm going to start. As you can already see, I don't have any eye joints or eye controls. The only joints I have so far, it's just the other joints. And just to let you guys know, the joints, they're already bound to geometry, so it's for demonstration purpose only, that when you set it up, you don't have to bind skin this early. Just move it around so it works. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to show you what I have set up here. So on the ground, there is the main control. If you have a full body character set, the main control, so here is the main control. This main control on the ground, this will be whatever control that's on the ground, the control that takes off everything. And I also have other controls for the neck and this, and you see when you move the head around, the eyeballs, they won't follow with the head because we haven't set up a control to it yet. And also in my outliner for my eyes, I have the inner eyeball, outer eyeball, and the pupil, so 3 geometries for each eye and the other ones. Okay, so if you have something similar in your scene, and you have the root main control down below, and you have the eye geometries, and this is where we're gonna get started. So here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to group them together. So I'm going to select the 3 geometries, and I go to group. So I want it to be grouped under the world, and the pivot will be at the center of the 3 geometries. So I hit apply, and I select the other 3, and I hit apply again. So, and then I'm gonna name them. So this one is going to be girl, left eye group. The other one is going to be the right eye group. So once we finish, we can set up the joints for the eyes now. So here I would like to go to the side view, and I go to skeleton, and I create joints. So I'm just going to create one joint, and I'm going to make the joint quite big, so we can actually see, so we can actually see what's going on. Okay, so this is the first joint, and then I'm going to duplicate this joint. The purpose of this 2 joints, it's this 2 joint will be placed in the middle of the eyes, so it will when we set up a control for the joint, it will just move the geometries around. So we select the first joint, and we select the left eye group, and we go to modify, match transformations, match all the transformations, and then we select the other eye, and we select the other eye group, and we hit G, so the other eyes are also at the position of the other eye group. So now the joints are set up, and we're going to rename it. So this one is going to be left eye joint, joint, and the other one is going to be girl right eye joint. Okay, so we have the two joints set up, and what we're going to do is we're going to parent this two eye joints to this joint. This one will be the first head joint, or the last one, last neck joint, whatever you name it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this one, and then I shift select this one, and then I hit P to parent them together. So once I parent them together, I'm going to bind geometry. So I select the left eye joint first, and then I select the left eye group, the entire group, and I go to skin, and I click bind skin. Just reset the settings. Yeah, so for the first selection, we want it to be selected joints, and everything else, it could just be the same. And it doesn't really matter because we only have one joint and the geometry is quite simple. So we hit apply, and then we do the same to the other one. So we select the right eye joint, and then we select the right eye group, and I hit apply. At this moment, before we set up the controls for the two eyes, I just want to test it out. I want to see if the joint can rotate properly, so just try it out. Right now it looks good, nothing off here, so yeah, the eyeballs move around. Okay, here we go. So everything works fine right now so far, and then we're going to set up the controls for the animators. So to set up the eye controls, I'm going to go to the front view, and I'm going to create. Let's see, going to the NURB primitives, and I would like to create a circle. And I'll set the normal Z to 1, so by doing this, it will actually follow the other way. Okay, so we move this up. Oops. So this is the eye control, where the eye control is going to be. Here we go. So I'm going to call this one girl eye control. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate it and duplicate again. So for this one, I'm going to make this one smaller. That looks like this. Oops, better delete this one, so I could just modify this one. Don't need to do it to the other ones. Okay, so I'm going to call this girl. This is the right eye control, and I'm going to duplicate it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the translate Z, negative translate X to positive translate X. So right now I have both controls, as you can see. I'm going to change the color a little bit, make it more obvious to see, so we're going to the drawing overrides, enable overrides, and the index wanting to be RGB. Do we wanted this one to be yellow? Okay. The other one doesn't change to yellow. Okay, then I'm going to do it again. Here's, okay. It doesn't change the color. Why it doesn't change the color? That's kind of weird. Okay, so right now I have two eye controls set up and the other eye controls. I'm going to change the background color so it's easier to see. So what I'm going to do is change the name of this one to left, and here we go. So what I'm going to do is when I move the other eye controls, move the bigger circles, I want the two small controls to move with it. So to get to this effect, we're gonna parent the two small eye controls to the bigger one. So I select both of them, and then I select the other eye control, I hit P, so I parent them together. And then we select all of the controls, and we go to modify. We can freeze the scale. We can also freeze the translate and the rotate, but to me it does not really matter. I guess I'll freeze the translate of the two small ones as well. Okay, so we have the eye controls and we have everything here now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a null group. So I go to create empty group, and it's going to be called girl eye group. So this is the main group for the entire eye control. So I select this one and I select the eye controls. Second, I go to modify and match all the transforms. So right now the eye control, the null group is at the same location as the controls. So I select the eye control, everything, and I select the group. I hit P again to parent them together. So when I open the hierarchy app, you can see the eye control, all the values are 0. And the eye controls group, it just takes the 30 value. Okay, so once we finish, we're going to set up the constraints. So whenever we move the eye controls, those circles, that will actually drive the joints to move the geometries. So what I'm going to do first is I select the right eye control, and I select the right eye joint, and I go to constraint, and it's going to be an aim constraint. What aim constraint does is you basically force the slave object, one slave object, the axis to always point at the master's. Just wherever the master moves, there's always one axis of the slave joint to point at it. So I want to maintain offset, and the aim vector, for the aim vector, I want it to be the z of this. Well, I'm just gonna reset it first. So I want it to be the z-axis of the eye joint. So whenever this eye control moves, the z-axis of this eye joint will always point at the eye control here. So the aim vector, I want it to be z. So I always wanted this axis to aim at this object. And the up vector, so we know in this case it's going to be so the up vector in this case, let me see, it's going to be y. Yeah, and the world up type here, we want to choose object rotation up. We do this is because we wanted the this eye joint to follow the movement of the head joint. So whenever the head joint moves, the eye joint moves with it as well. So we want to be object rotation up, and the world up vector is going to be x, and the world up object is going to be this joint. So it's going to be the head 1 joint. So whenever this head joint moves, the eye joint will move with the head joint. So then we set up the aim constraint. This will be the slave and this will be the master. So we select the master object first, and then the slave object second, and then check out everything. Here we go. And then we're going to do the same to the other one. So we select the eye controls, and then we select the joint, and then we hit apply. So right now, once we set up the constraint, we can see how it works. So you see when I move the eye controls around, the eyeballs follows. And whenever I move the other one, it follows as well. And whenever I move the outer eye controls, this one follows as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is we realize that when the head moves, the eye controls doesn't really moves with the head. So it seems that no matter how I moves the head, the eyes they keep looking at one point. This is not really natural. We want to have an option that whenever the eyeball moves, whenever the head moves, the eye control moves with it as well. So the eyes will move to somewhere else. So to make this happen, I'm going to select the girl eye group, the entire group. No, I'm not going to select this one first. So what I'm going to select is I'm going to select the my head 1 joint control, my head 1 control, and the main control on the ground, and then I'm going to select the eye control, the entire eye control, and then I'm going to parent constraint, and I want to maintain offset, and everything else will just be the default settings. So after setting up this, what we're going to see is a move. Okay, so once we set the parent constraint, the eye control group, and I'm going to go to the node editor to get some. Okay, so I'm going to select the eye controls, and I'm going to add an extra attribute that's called head follow, and it's going to be a float. Minimum going to be 0 and maximum going to be 1, and hit OK. So you see, when we select the eye control, you're gonna see a head follow attribute at the very bottom. This is what we want. Yeah. Okay, so we have the parent constraint selected in the node editor, and I'm also going to drag the eye controls to the node editor as well. So going to open up the eye controls, and I'm going to connect the head follow to the head one control. So what this does is basically if the head follow is set to 1, and because the two attributes they're connected, so the parent constraint this value will be 1 as well, which means whenever we set up the eye control head follow to 1, this value will be 1, and the head 1 joint control will move the eye controls around because we parent constraint the eye controls to the head 1 control. But the thing is, we don't want both of them to be 1, so we don't want both of the controls to drive the eye controls. We only want one of the two controls to drive the eye controls. So whenever the head 1 control is 1, the other one has to be 0, and whenever this one is 0 and the other one will be 1. So to make this happen, I'm going to add a new node. It's going to be called a reverse node. I select this one. So what a reverse node does is it's going to detect the input being connected to it, and if the input is 0, the reverse node gonna make the input to be if the head follow the input is 1, the reverse node will reverse it to 0, and if the input is 0, the reverse node will reverse it to 1. So if the input is 1, it will become 0. If it's 0, it's going to become 1. And then I'm going to send the output X to the main control. So this setup ensures that there's not a time when both of them will be 0, or both of time there will be 1. So right now we can take a look and see how it works. Okay, so right now the head follow is 0, so we can move this one, move the eyes around, and we move the head around as well. So as you can see now, whenever we move the head controls, the eye controls moves along with it. And if I turn off the head follow to 0, it will be jump back to there. And oops. And whenever it moves, the eyes are just going to look at the eye controls, and the eye controls won't move with it. Oops, keep selecting the jaw controls. Yeah, okay, so this is what I'm going to set up for this one. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope I made everything clear, and if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Okay, thank you very much.